Hello friends and welcome. Around the world, countries rise, stagnate or decline based on the decisions they make. Here, we examine those decisions, explore their consequences and ask what it takes to create abundant jobs, strong industries, thriving businesses, and a better quality of life for ordinary people in Africa. Before we begin, I want us to acknowledge the Ghanaians who recently took to the street, raised placards, signed petitions, and demanded action on MTN and Goldfield. And whether you agree with them or not, there is something encouraging about what happened, because for far too long, many of us have watched major national decisions from the sideline. So when Ghanaians begin asking questions about who controls our resources, who benefits from our economy, and whether existing agreements are serving the national interest, that is not something to dismiss. In fact, it is something to encourage. So kudos to all the organizers of that event, the protest. An active and engaged citizenry is a good thing, and we must acknowledge it. But then after this protest, after the slogans, and after the emotions, we must do the harder work. We must sit down and examine the facts, and that's what we are coming to do. One side looks at companies like MTN and Goldfield and sees billions of cedis and dollars leaving Ghana every year. They see foreign shareholders, they see profits being repatriated, they see strategic sectors of the economy controlled by outsiders, and they ask, why should this continue? But then another side looks at the same companies and sees something completely different. They see jobs, they see taxes, they see investments, they see infrastructure, they see services that billions of Ghanaians depend on every single day. And they also ask what exactly would happen if these companies left tomorrow. And that, friends, is the conversation I want us to have today. Because before we decide whether a company should stay or go, we first need to answer a more important question. Is it creating more value than it is extracting? And if it is extracting more than it creates, then what should we do about it? Now, this debate did not appear from nowhere. Recent tension between Ghana and South Africa stirred strong emotions across social media, and some people were angry, some were hurt, some became defensive. Others started asking deeper questions, and that is why we are here. And that is where the conversation began to change, because many people started looking back at South African companies operating in Ghana and asked, what exactly are we getting out of these relationships? When a South African company operates MTN Ghana, is it benefiting Ghana? The short answer is yes, very strongly. But let us be intellectually honest from the beginning, right? MTN does take money out of Ghana. For the year 2025, MTN Ghana declared approximately 6.4 billion Ghana cedis in dividends to shareholders, and dividends we know follow ownership. And MTN Group also controls roughly 72% of the company, whilst the remaining shares are held by Ghanaian institutions, pension fund, and the investment fund, and individual investors through the stock market, which means a significant portion of those dividends ultimately leaves Ghana. About 72% leave Ghana. So when somebody says MTN is taking money out of Ghana, that person is not entirely wrong, but that is also just half of the story. Because in that same period, MTN paid approximately 10.5 billion Ghana cedis in direct and indirect taxes to the Ghanaian state. Think about that carefully. The company paid more in taxes than it distributed in dividends. That is money flowing into government coffers, money that helps fund roads, schools, hospitals, security and public services, name them. Let's look at employment too. The company employs thousands of people directly, thousands more indirectly. Also, millions of Ghanaians depend on its services every single day. Businesses receive payments through mobile money. Students access learning materials through data. Drivers receive fares through mobile money or mobile transfer. Market women receive payments through mobile money. So entire businesses operate because the network exists. Today, MTN serves more than 30 million mobile subscriptions in Ghana and controls roughly 73% of the telecommunication market, right? In other words, nearly 3 out of every 4 mobile connections in Ghana are on the MTN network. Put that one down. And the numbers only tell part of the story. Travel across Ghana from Accra to Kumasi, Tamale, Bolgatanga, Ho, Cape Coast, Takrady, and hundreds of smaller villages in corners, and one network you are almost certain to encounter is MTN. There are places in my own house where I struggle to get a reliable signal from some networks, yet MTN continues to work everywhere in my house. Many Ghanaians may have different experiences, but there's no denying that MTN has built one of the most extensive telecommunications network in the country. So before we allow emotions to drive this conversation, we must ask an important question. If MTN were to leave Ghana tomorrow, do we currently possess the technology, expertise, investment, and institutional capacity to replace what it provides without major disruption? Competition is healthy, building local capacity is necessary, creating Ghanaian ownership is a legitimate discussion. But if we have not yet built a network capable of matching MTN's coverage, reliability, and technology, then we should be careful about weakening what already works simply because emotions are running high. Over all these years that MTN has operated in Ghana, did we invest in the same level of technology, expertise, and infrastructure? Did our own network make the same aggressive push to reach every town, every village, and every corner of the country? And if not, why not? These are the questions we should be asking, because the path to national development is not pulling down what works. It is understanding why it works, learning from it, improving our very own, and eventually building something even better. So friends, we will pause here for today, but the bigger conversation continues. Do you still think MTN should go or stay? What about Goldfield? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment. And if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you will know when the next discussion goes live. Until then, stay curious. My name is Mami Soma. Thank you for watching.